Go ahead and get started. We got to do Pledge of Allegiance. Allison, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Our first order of business. Discussion and decision of New Roots Farm lease and MOU. Do we have all parties here?
Do I need to unmute everyone? Would you like me to unmute everyone?
Is anybody from the URA on there?
We got a member from the URA right there.
Okay.
Mr. Taylor's on there's on mute him.
Okay, so I guess you're going to represent them for us. Oh,
They're
wait there,
here.
there's more people coming in. Sheriff, how are you?
Good morning. Right here, let's just give them.
You guys have anybody else with you?
Yeah, I think we'll agree.
Okay, holding us up our meeting. Amy, did you turn the microphone on over here? Everybody that's on the call, I'd like to remind you to take the comprehensive plan survey. You can either find it on our Facebook or our website. That's important in helping the county get things ready. So anybody from the URA want to present?
You're asking about the farmland,
Huh?
the farmland division?
Yes.
Did you want to do the summary of it?
Jeff was around here.
He'll be here in a minute.
Morning, Susie. Morning, Jim.
They're asking about the update on the lease.
URA had a meeting July 12th, and we made a motion to terminate our lease with the Farmland Bureau upon a special calling to order of a special meeting by the Farmland Protection to accept our termination. So that's where we are with that. I have asked Anna Ziegler to help us with some of this, and to the best of my knowledge, she told me this morning, Mr. Taylor has not contacted her yet, so we've had no communication.
Oh, he has. He's got a lease and a MOU drawn up. So I'm not sure that
So
she's.
he hasn't contacted us. He's done that for you. Has anyone seen the lease?
He's
No.
Will you unmute Michael, please?
I'm here. I have the MOU and lease drawn up. I simply need the commission to approve it before I send it over to Farmland for their review and consideration, which I provided a draft to the commission, and I think that they were going to take action on that today to approve the contents of it and get it sent over to farmland.
Here's, I have my copy of it. I have a soft copy of it. So I guess that's what we'll do today, then we'll go ahead and you guys can take a look at it. Concerns. Did you guys already review the two?
I reviewed
You cool with it?
I'm cool with you, cool with it.
Let me see your hard copy real quick. Okay, you can move. Why don't we move on to the next agenda item and then come back to this?
Well, the next agenda item is the Wolf Creek.
Okay.
Okay. Wolf Creek Park land development. We're going to skip the New Roots Farm for right now, but come back to it. So Wolf Creek Park land development. Mr. Christie, you going to be talking to that, or is the URA talking to it?
I think there's a number of people will, I believe. Yeah, I'm Jim Christie. So on the park, we have a number of developers interested in this property. And what they would like to see is we've done a PER that has been submitted to the Infrastructure Council to extend the road by 2,800 feet.
What's a PER?
Preliminary engineering report.
Okay.
And with that would extend that road another 2,800 feet with all the utilities. What that does is that opens that up for future development. The developers that are interested in the property, when you look at the debt versus the cost of the road and then the cost of development, the numbers don't work. So what we're looking at is trying to get that debt reduced, opportunities to help support the road and utility extensions to make this property that's valuable to the developers. The ones in particular I'm talking with are interested in all the property and doing housing components plus hospitality components. Yeah, that's where we stand on the property.
How many developers and who are they?
I can't tell you. I have signed non-disclosure agreements at this point with them.
Okay, how much actual property are we
You can
talking
tell us how
about?
many.
Two.
Okay,
I don't want any more than that. Two's good for me.
okay.
How much actual property are we talking about?
What they would do is they purchase all the property.
No. How much property can be developed?
It's all 160 acres.
Did you come up with the information that Jenna asked for the other day in our meeting that we had?
Yeah, we haven't finished that yet.
Yep.
And it's different than, so when you look at development, there's two ways to look at that. We talked a lot in that meeting about pad development. That's not the way that the developers I work with think about it. They're looking at land and how they work with the land. So we don't do pads.
So they're looking
that's
to,
industrial.
they're looking to spend the money all themselves then.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't know why. So
But the numbers don't work if they have to
that's what I'm
build
asking.
road utilities, pay off their debt.
There you go. There you go. That's if you're talking about them spending their own money, we shouldn't even be here. But if you're talking about the people's money,
Yeah.
I think what Jenna asked for would help us come to the decision on how much money that the county or the URA wants to help.
What did
us.
she ask for, Tom?
She asked for, see if they can service water, because she don't know whether the water can be serviced there. And that's pretty important. And I think all the cost to develop the property, moving earth and everything else, is that right?
I can't give you the moving earth until we have the developer knows what he wants to do. So you don't just throw numbers out there.
Okay,
for
so
that.
then we shouldn't even be here if you don't have a developer that knows what they want to do.
No, I don't think that's the case. They know what they want to do, but they're not going to, until they understand what you guys are looking for and how the utilities work and everything on that
How
end.
can we determine that if we don't know a cost and even if the services can be there, if the water service can be provided? That was one of the main things.
2,800 on the PER, that
The gentleman here.
that opens up about 100 acres.
Yeah, she's waving at you.
Hey guys, I'm here.
I'd like for her to talk a little bit more on this and ask Jim about the information that you requested.
Can I
the
ask
other
one
day.
question before that? In what capacity are you here? Because I know your name and I know that you've done some planning and stuff out there. So,
I'm a consultant
okay, so you're consulting for whom?
for the URA,
Okay.
for Wood Creek Park. That's what
By the URA. Okay. All right.
So just for clarity, Jim and I spoke yesterday, and for Tom was obviously there at the previous meeting, and what I asked was based on what type of development. I don't really care if it's pad development or not. We've got to come to what we recognize is that some of the numbers that have been thrown out previously that have been done based on the cost assessment that I've seen, coupled with the debt that's owed on the park, is something upwards of like $4.2 million to pay off the debt and extend utilities. The question that I had is, you know, what's the break-even price that the developer is willing to pay per acre, and how much acreage are they looking for, so that we can figure out a way that we could help subsidize some of the development costs for the utilities, if the utilities in fact can be extended and serve the property that they're interested in developing. And so that's realistically what we're looking for. And, you know, I don't think it's outside the realm of normalcy and process for us to ask the developers, what's your bottom line figure you're willing to pay per acre, and how much acreage do you want, so that we can then figure out how we can ultimately subsidize some of those costs with any dollars that we have available or potential grant funds for utilities. And so that's really where I'm coming from with this, is that as it stands right now, I think Jim said this before, I don't think any developer is going to pay break even for the debt and the utility expansions right now. So how can we help subsidize those costs? But I don't know what numbers we're looking for. I know Leslie's on the phone right now too from Region 4. And if we want to try to figure out how to help identify some funds that could work for utilities, we've got to know what we're looking at this point. We need to know the number, the acreage that's going to be touched, the potential development that is going to happen, whether there's going to be job creation associated with that. And so that's some of the information that we're missing in terms of actually helping subsidize some of the development costs. Is that helpful? Are there questions from the other commissioners that weren't at that meeting previously?
No, that helped a lot. Thank you. I do have one other, just as, so you're a consultant, but you signed NDAs with developers? That just sounds odd to me.
Why is that?
Because that's not normally how that kind of thing works. I'm a lawyer, and that's just not normally how it works. So what's the reason for that? Normally the NDAs are, you know, between parties, not between a consultant and the party. Like, did the lawyer facilitate that, or?
Well, yeah, through their lawyers.
Okay, so their
We do
lawyers,
this all over the country.
so their lawyers wanted NDAs just to express interest. Did they give you details? Do you have the kind of details that Jenna needs, or would your role be to go back to them and
It would
ask-
go back to them.
ask for these numbers?
Yeah, and I've talked to them about this. They have to look at the property and do basically a master plan and a study on it to see what they can do.
Yeah.
You know, how much land can they actually develop? How many trees have to be removed? You know, what kind of land? So they have to spend a lot of money up front to do that.
So are they benefiting from your knowledge as a consultant for the URA? Because you know that property probably better than anybody. I mean, you could advise them on that kind of thing. Are you advising them on that kind of thing, or are they depending on their own people for that?
Yeah, we would advise.
Okay, so you're kind of a facilitator in your consulting role.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to understand how it's worked out. So basically, without even revealing who they are, you could probably get this data for us, at least as far as, you know, the numbers, what Jenna has asked for, like what are they willing to pay per acre? Because we don't know. I mean, we call them developer X and Y, you know, you think you might be able to at least get a ballpark from them?
They would have to hire me to actually do some planning for them. And if they think that there's some help there, they already know the numbers don't work as is.
Yeah.
If they have to spend all the money, it doesn't work.
Well, everybody knows that the numbers don't work as is, but we need more data to help them work, you know, because we don't want to fund their entire project and then, you know what I'm saying? So,
And we would always do due diligence for these companies on all the different parcels we work with them on. So that's part of the due diligence, but really today was first step to say, you know, does the commission support the opportunity to help the developer come in and do something?
well,
I think Jenna asked, there's more info, but listen, we need more, we need more information before this commission, I think, I'm not speaking for the other two, I'm speaking for me, can go any further. And I think that you were supposed to get that or tell us, no, you can't get that.
Yeah, I think I said that.
Okay, well, okay, well then I tell you what, the way I feel about it, until you get the information, we don't need to be here anymore. That's the way I feel about it. Because if you know the information that's needed for us, then you should get it. If not, don't come back.
can I take advantage of,
Go ahead.
I want to ask him a couple of questions just in general terms, because again, I know that you know that property quite well. So I keep hearing from different factions that only this number of acres are developable versus, you know, other people think more of the acreage is developable. What's your take on the acreage that's developable out there and for what purposes, if we can get the water worked out?
Yeah, we look at somewhere around that 160 acres is developable. And that's basically based off a percentage of slope, because then your construction costs start going up the steeper you get. So when you look at a large scale developer who I talk to and go around and work with, you know, they're not going to go onto these steep slopes and do the work. It's cost prohibitive for them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at that, we're looking at about 160 acres, and it probably gets tighter than that.
Mm-hmm.
When it's all said and done, maybe it's only 120 or 130. But I'm looking at 160 if you look at a topo map, and then you look where the wetlands are and streams. So we're trying to stick to the areas that are easily developed, that can be profitable for a developer, but also make good use for the citizens.
And you mentioned hospitality. Are you talking about some kind of like boutique hotel or something like that, like residence or what do you mean by hospitality?
I think there'd be a part that's residential because they understand the need in the county, in the region. But the rest of it would be more tourism based. It'd be job creation.
Okay. So hospitality in a broad sense then. And small businesses is what they're thinking?
They would develop all that. And it would be their business.
Okay. I guess I'm just wondering about, you know, traffic on that road and that sort of thing.
That would be part of their due diligence is traffic counts. That's something you want to agree on.
Okay, so
projections.
what would the next steps be to get the information that Jenna needs to help inform a decision by us about what, you know, to the extent we can approve something on that?
Well, on my end, it would be between the developer and I to come up with concepts and get them willing to spend funds to move forward with it. Like I said, as they see it now, if they have to do utilities, roads, development, and the debt, it's not a good project.
If the commission doesn't know what the cost is to develop that, how can we come up with a figure?
To develop the properties.
Any development, utilities.
Well, the utilities, we already have the preliminary engineering report has that.
So the water that Jenna was talking about, it will service it?
Yeah.
Have you got that?
Beyond
Have you
that
got that in
extension,
writing? I think we asked for that.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jenna.
there's a full report.
Can her office and our office have a copy?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you already know whether the water issue, so that was one of your concerns, right, Tom?
Yeah.
So you already know that the water issue is resolvable.
Yes.
Let me just, maybe there's a misunderstanding, because obviously it seems like there's a communication issue. Okay. The URA hired CEC. They've done a full engineering of a half a mile out, opening up 100 acres. The cost of $2.1 million to do that. Jen has asked for it to go further on out. One would think that finding $2.1 million is a big lift. To find $4 million would be a bigger lift. Jim has a potential buyer that may be interested in the property if somehow some money was found to run the road a half a mile out. After that, the developer most likely would spend their own money to finish the rest of the development.
Do we have a figure for that? I think that's another big question. What's the figure?
For what?
What they're gonna pay for it?
What they're gonna pay for what?
The property.
The property. Well, they're gonna pay zero?
No.
They're gonna pay $1 million? I think,
I think
there's a
housing-
lot of factors
Housing
into this.
will determine what they're gonna pay for.
Okay, well then tell housing to tell us. Tell housing to tell us to tell them. I'm really confused about.
I'm missing, why do you need to know?
I
When you go to buy,
Property
hey, listen, when you go to buy a piece of property,
Only one person speaking at a time.
when you go to buy a piece of property, do you usually tell the landowner how much you're gonna pay for it prior to? You can even have a 6-month agreement. I say, listen, I'd like to have an option on a piece of property. I wanna pay you $200,000 for it. I need some information. I need to do some studies. Here's the figure that I'll pay. If the studies don't work, it's null and void. You can pay $10,000 down for a deposit. I've done plenty of this stuff. Not having to figure kind of puts us in a position like something sketchy. The figure is you, hey, listen, have the developer come, in my opinion, now I'm not 3 commissioners, I'm 1. The developer come with a figure, and then the commission can say, okay, with this figure, maybe this is what we can do to facilitate this. But until we have that figure, it seems like you want us to commit to $2.1 million, not knowing what they're going to pay for the property or pay off or anything, any of that information. Anything I've ever done when you purchase a piece of property, you make an offer on it, you get it in writing, you have an option on it, then we can negotiate. I mean, I don't know whether, is that how y'all done it before, or is this the way?
Typically, the landowner has a price for it.
Well, okay, well, then we need to set a price on it.
Tom,
It just bothers me. It's just, to me, John, there's nothing seems like it's the way it should be, and I'm confused about it.
okay, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Jim. Other than the lowest possible price, what do you think the ideal price per acre should be?
It's different in different parts of the country. This one's gonna be harder to develop. So that's why, therefore, that they're looking at a lower number. I don't know what that is.
I asked you what-
We figure out the process.
Well, if you were developing, what kind of price would you look for per acre?
I'd be looking at probably the $10,000 to $15,000.
So
And
they're,
that went to me in West Virginia would be the high end of it.
so they're willing, you think that they're willing to pay $10,000 or $15,000 an acre?
Yeah, and it depends how much they can get of their business per acre.
Okay. At the current, if we do the 4.2 million and divide it by 160, then that would be $26,250 per acre. Which I mean, I know that no one's going to go in and do that, because if it was flat and it had major access to the highway right beside of it, then yeah, they may. But 10 to 15, I mean, that's going to be going on. Now, this 2.1 million that we're asking to come up with, we have sent a question to the state to find out if it can be used, if the funds can be used for that, since it's already an existing development. So until we have our answers back from that, this is why we just want to collect the information and have it in case that we need to go ahead with the next steps. So the ideal price is actually 11 to 16,000 cheaper than what it's going to cost us to actually do everything. So if we take it in the middle, 11 to 16, that's 15, 14. 1,400, 14,000 times 160. That means that we're actually going to be losing 22.4 or $2,240,000 if we can get $14 or 14,000 an acre, which again, that's another issue. So we're falling further in the hole on each thing that we look at.
Well, here's one thing that so 2.1 is the figure to get the road and utilities out there to the 100 acres.
Yeah, I don't
Is
have
that-
PER.
Because and we also have 2.1 million in debt as well. Is that right, Jeff? Okay, so 4.2. I think we also need to look at, just as we consider the numbers though, I think we also need to look at the revenue that will eventually get taxes once that is developed and that sort of thing. I mean, I don't think, because right now it's sitting there, there's nothing coming in, nothing happening.
I agree.
But I don't know how to I mean, we might even be able to get Eddie to kind of do
Well,
an
there's
estimate or something.
There's
depending.
already a TIF on there, and I don't know whether that money can be used to develop. There's a $3 million TIF on there that any taxes generated, the URA reuses.
Can we, can a TIF be?
Oh, you can eliminate.
Rescinded?
You can eliminate.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my other question, Jim, is, you guys have a plan to get around the right of first refusal on that acreage?
Last week was the first time you got one.
Okay,
But we'll work through that. It's basically, when we look at these properties, it takes me, 4 to 8 weeks with the developer to go through, do our due diligence. And I see that we haven't started that process yet, other than meeting and going through the properties and going through everything we have to date. But we haven't done any of that development knowledge with them yet.
okay.
But they want to be here. Strategically, they want to be here. They want to be by their boards.
Listen, I don't have a problem with the $2.1 million in development, in the utilities and the roadway. What I got a problem with is not knowing what they're willing to pay. And all you and them would have to do is come up with an agreement or some kind of contract that says, this is what we'll pay for it if this is what you'll do.
Sure. And it's not what they're willing to pay. They're willing to pay different pricing on different projects, and it all depends on their development costs. So it comes down to how much return on investment can they get.
Well, if I just said, I think I answered your question in a roundabout way. If the commission, and I'm only one commissioner, says we can maybe agree to helping some of that 2.1 where the developer doesn't have to pay for it, in an agreement, they can say, this is what we will pay if this is what you will do. Can we agree to that? And we can move forward, not just everything's up in the air. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, they wouldn't move forward.
Right. Well, this is me speaking, not the three of us. To me, if you can have somebody write something up for the 12th time and say, this is what I'll pay if this is what you can do and help us out, then the commission has a better understanding of what we have to pay, and where we can come up with the money.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. We just need to know, in a larger sense, like what the financial commitment is, at least as close as we could get. So are the next steps that you work with these developers to come up with a plan to where then you could answer that question, or at least the per acreage? Okay, so you said about up to 8 weeks. So we should probably just set this for an agenda in a couple months here. Tomorrow we're going to vote on our schedule. We're changing the schedule. So once we do that, we could reach back out and coordinate a good date for you. And then if that needs to move, just contact our office and we'll move it. Because as long as you let us know a week or two before, we'll be able to get it off the agenda without any problem.
Yeah, like I said, if it's 8 weeks out, that's not a problem. We'll have the information right.
Okay, sweet. And in the meantime, would you mind getting us that PER to us and the NRG, or you can get it to us and we'll get it to the NRG RDA?
Jim, I have one more question. URA, I know you've been working with them for quite some time, and they hired you, which I think was a good move for our area. you've been compensated, everything you're supposed to be compensated through now?
We have one outstanding invoice.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Let's see if Michael has any questions or comments.
No, I don't have any questions or comments. Thank you.
You guys have anything else?
No.
I don't
Okay.
either. Let's take a quick break
Quick
after this
break.
agenda item, and then
Okay.
I'll finish looking at this and we'll get it done.
Okay.
Did you guys get a copy of this so you can go through it?
I'm guessing I'm gonna get a copy tomorrow or when I go to training. Is that on the
No, this was,
relief plan?
yeah, Ruth made this for me so I could kind of go through it all.
I don't want a copy of that. I'm going to training.
All right.
I'm gonna have to sit through 3 days of it. I don't want to read it now. Do you guys have anything else before we take a break on the URA project? Okay, so I'm finishing looking through this right now. I had perused it, but I'm just going through real quick and then we'll get back on the record and knock it out.
That tells what the funds
Are you
can
gonna-
be used for.
Call for the break.
Oh, okay. All right, let's take a break, 15 minutes, and we'll come back with the New Roots Farm lease and MOU. Yeah, I thought you would. Yeah.
That was a really good point that you made. Like, because, I mean, we have to know what the overall commitment is, and without knowing that, we can't. Yeah, yeah. I think they just haven't had a chance to have those conversations. Yeah, because oh, don't let me forget. Hey, Ruth, I have a couple questions for you.
Oh.
And don't forget, we need to set that special meeting.
Yeah.
You have that, you put that on your list right there, so we can.
Okay. go out there or, yes, wrangle them, please. Throw that rope. All right. We have finished with what we can on the Wolf Creek Park land development. It's a mouthful this morning. Now we're getting ready to go back to the New Roots Farm lease and MOU. Did you say you want to handle it?
Yeah, I was just about done.
Okay.
You started before I was ready.
And Ms. Taylor is going to make the presentation.
I have maybe one thing I'm gonna talk with Michael about, but the MOU is fine. I might want to change.
You want to go to executive session and talk to him, or you want to talk about here?
Executive session, I think. I just have a question.
Joy, did you
I
look
can
at
even,
the,
I can even text him a
Text him,
question.
okay.
did you look at the MOU?
I did, but I have nothing to comment on because until you guys approve it,
Right,
we
yeah.
have nothing to discuss.
Right.
You know,
I just, you do have the 2 copies though.
you guys handle it.
Okay, good, good. You read those? Okay.
Okay, I just sent it to him.
This is one thing that I saw. The Aquarium Commons should be the purchaser, not the commission.
Well, no, for now, we are the purchaser until they purchase from us.
But should there be something in the MOU that says that we'll have them as the purchaser after they get the money?
It does. Let me see. It's right here.
Okay, yeah, it's in there. Okay. Ragu, it's in there.
Okay. Yeah, he thinks we ought to make the modification I suggested.
There. I'd say the
This is what I wanted to add.
yeah, our direction, yeah. Okay,
Let me just find it.
we should have an electronic copy,
We do.
so it'd make it easier to change.
Okay.
Where did you buy it?
Yeah, he just changed it for me, so hold on. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, I'm glad you've seen that.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I'm glad you've seen that.
You know,
So he changed it. He's sending it to me now, so we can vote on it. That's the only issue I had.
yeah,
Okay, so, I was just texting with our lawyer because I have one question. He's making one change and emailing it to me, so we'll print it out. So we're going to be able to vote on this today and get you guys the MOU, our draft MOU and lease.
It'll be your lawyer sending it to Anna, not me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't mind giving you a copy though, if anybody wants to take a look at it.
Oh, sure.
So,
So
anyway.
other than that, so we're done with farmland.
all we're gonna do, I move that we accept the MOU as presented and that our council transmit that to the Council of
With the
Farmland
changes.
Protection Board. Well, the MOU was unchanged.
Okay,
So I move that we submit the MOU to Farmland Protection Board in the original form we received it.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to send the MOU to Anna Ziegler. Okay, so that she can turn around and talk to farmland. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and similarly, I move with the change, our lawyer recommended, he's sending the document, just adding that one provision that I showed you. I move that we approve this lease agreement to be sent similarly by our council to Council for the Farmland Protection Board for consideration.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the lease being sent to the attorney for farmland. All those in favor? Aye. It passed, both passed. And I know there was a lot of, well, can I make that statement?
Well,
About the, it does say in the lease for the MOU that there'll be a smooth transaction to the.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They're public record.
All right, so you guys know, when I say you guys, I mean everybody, female and male, it's nothing bad. But the smooth transition to the agrarian commons is in the paperwork. So it will be noticed as they will be the person to purchase it when it's done. When you have the money.
There are provisions in there for the transfer to agrarian commons.
Yeah.
This is just a temporary until all that's done. What's your concern, Susie?
That is contradicted in the lease.
Well, we have a new draft lease. So take a look at it.
Okay.
And if you see an issue, I'll put you in touch with Michael Taylor, our lawyer. So if you can try to look at it today if you can, and then you can let him know what your concerns are. If we need to change it, the next thing I'm gonna bring up is we're setting a special meeting for Tuesday, I think. Is that the first day we can do it? We're just gonna do on Zoom to address an issue on trying to get some help with the 911 center to hire a consultant, so we can add it on there. If we have to make any changes, we can knock it out.
As long as it's posted by 1 o'clock.
For a special meeting, not a,
Yeah.
it's a two-day notice. So is that Tuesday?
1 o'clock? Is that what you said? Or
Doesn't-
what time you want
No,
to?
doesn't it have to be posted by 1 o'clock today?
Well, we're gonna Zoom. I will be at Canaan, but I'll just leave my training to Zoom in.
You have it earlier, we won't have to.
That's true, we can do it like 8 o'clock. So, because you know I'm gonna be enjoying myself. Very funny.
They'll be over about 1, I think, on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So probably be better to do it in the afternoon. So let's do it in the afternoon then, and that way, you know, I think as long as we do it by the time we want to have it. As soon as, Susie, as soon as we get that, I'll email it to you. I mean, you can have this copy. Does she have your copy of the
Sure.
MOU?
Yeah, because I can print out another
So
one.
are you
And I-
just adding another provision or?
No, not really, just, you know, when we get the updated copy of the lease, I'll email it to you, but at least you can look at the MOU. It has the provision in it about the
Yeah.
agreeing common. Oh, he just sent it, so.
All right, just a second, Susie, and you can have the second copy, the lease part.
No, I'm just gonna email them to her.
You might have to speak up, Miss Taylor.
I'm gonna email them to Susie. What, I was.
I can hear.
Okay, John, I was just messing with
Uh,
you.
Yeah. You sold the place, Mike?
No, I haven't sold it.
The guy's going in.
I'm gonna lease it to him.
Oh,
Yeah.
Got 2 deeds.
he opened up Huntington
I know.
today,
I know.
and then he's gonna turn around.
All right, I move we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.